All right, I believe we are recording now. Um, so this is Geeking This, episode numero 7, this is our catch-up episode where we're going to be talking about Spider-Man, because before in the last podcast I had not seen Spider-Man, and now I have, Far From Home, that is. I am Peter. Joined with me is my geek brother-in-law, Mr. Tony.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, man. So what's new with you, Mr. Tony, sir?
The only thing that's really new with me is I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, have you?
I've had it since December, yeah, but I haven't played it, and it's kind of interesting the way I went about it. The whole time I've been wanting to do The Witcher and complete that first because I went like 50% progress on that game,
Oh,
and
that's
so
impressive feat that by itself right there.
yeah, well, it is impressive, and therefore the next sentence is going to really be a kick in the balls because I finally got because previously the way I got to that 50% was I borrowed the physical disc from my brother,
Oh,
and
nice.
so I haven't had it. I've stopped playing for like months and months, and I finally saw it on the PS Store for sale, and it was 50 bucks. It was $15 for the complete edition, so I couldn't pass on that. Picked it up, was ready to go ahead and do that, complete that game, move on to Red Dead Redemption 2. Well, as it turns out, the PlayStation treats the complete edition and the standard edition as two separate save files, and so
Oh
I
my
had to
god.
start from scratch. And so I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. So I just decided to
That's weird. I wonder why they would. That's ridiculous.
yeah. So I just decided instead of doing The Witcher from the beginning, I'd rather just pick Redemption 2. I did the first mission. I was like, I might as well go all out, and I've been stuck on Red Dead. It's as impressive as everybody says it is.
So what does the extended edition add to The Witcher? It's just the DLC, right? So maybe if you had bought the DLC, you would still use your save file from before? That sounds really
I guess
stupid when I say it out loud, though.
yeah, it's as stupid as is exactly that because I guess the way to do it would have been regardless of the disc or not, you could buy the digital version of just the bare bones game, and then I would have been able to, have my access to my previous progression. But then I would have to pay the exorbitant fees for the DLC, which doesn't make sense because they package it all as one for 15 bucks
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
So
That's
there's no,
ridiculous.
it's lame.
Um, confession, I did. I finished the story of Red Dead 2, but then I did trade it in.
Oh wow, but so that's crazy though that you were able to go all the way through.
You know what? It's not really my bag. And I tried the online stuff too. I don't know, something about Red Dead I didn't really get into. It's a lot of hype. It was a lot of hype when it came out. Um, and the story's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know, something was lacking. It was missing some sort of charm that Grand Theft Auto definitely has. And the original Red Dead was like a classic. I don't know what was missing, but I felt like something was missing.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm loving it. Every moment of it is pretty cool, but maybe it's gonna get to that point where it loses its charm, but certainly hasn't
I
happened yet.
feel like well, everyone wants longer gameplay, and that's awesome. But I feel like Red Dead 2 really droned on, whereas Red Dead 1 felt really nice and compact and really like I wanted to go from mission to mission and finish the story.
Right.
Red Dead 2, it took me a little bit more time because I don't know, I was just a little more disinterested. I don't know why.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot to do. Maybe that openness, the fact that it's so big, is distracting from the overall mission, which
I
therefore would.
guess so. And then I guess I get a little bored.
Yeah, I get it. But that's kind of what's been up with me in terms of, pop culture. What about you?
Not much. So we haven't seen each other since Comic Con, which was a great endeavor all its own. We went to Conan for the first time, both of us, which was fantastic. And actually, that was the first time you ever watched a Conan show.
Yep, it was great. I
So
actually ended
yeah,
up. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask, so you knew of him, and you've
Oh
seen
yeah,
interviews. Did the show kind of live up to what everyone like praises him for?
yeah. Well, I think it was exactly what I was expecting. I didn't know like really what the difference, because all late night TV shows are kind of the same, right? They have the same script and formula. You know, you do
Yes.
a monologue, then you do like a bit, and then you do an interview. So it's like it followed that trajectory very well, and I liked it a lot. I don't think that it was more than or less than what I was expecting. It was great. It
Okay.
was cause, and you know that's a compliment because having high I was having high expectations, so it met them.
Nice. I will take that, and Conan would definitely take that. The one thing I like from Conan, even way back when, because I used to watch actually with my siblings. Of course, my sibling gets me into everything. When you're the again, I'm going back to that youngest child syndrome where I didn't have control of the remote control. I would actually stay up and watch Conan O'Brien back when he was on NBC, where he would do the Late Show, where Jimmy Fallon's hosting that now. And the one thing I liked about Conan is he doesn't take himself seriously, and he knows it. I think everyone else in the game, in the late night host game, I think they take themselves a little more seriously, but Conan never has.
Hmm, that's
I
awesome.
think that's what's endearing about him. He's like never that serious. Even when he had a slight concussion during one episode where he was doing something physical and he accidentally slipped on stage, and he kept the ball rolling, and then he didn't take his injury that seriously either. So I think that's the main thing about him. He seems more, I want to say honest, a little rude, but I don't know. He seems just more relatable, I guess, than the other hosts.
A little more down to earth.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So to kind of just put a pin on this conversation, have you finished the last season of Arrested Development? Um,
Yes, that's a great show.
so there's a bit where let's see, it's late season. It's called Fateful Consequences, and in one of the episodes, Conan makes an appearance, and it's hilarious
Oh my
because
gosh, I forgot about that.
yeah, and it's freaking awesome because I guess he's talking to Andy, and he's like, "Hey, you know, next time I say something, you don't have to respond, because then the audience actually think, oh, maybe he really is dumb." And so it kind of like I could tell like he was playing himself as like a jerk, and that was hilarious because that's totally out of his character, which is why it made it even
Yes,
more hilarious. He's just acting like
yes.
this like Hollywood big shot, like, hey, shut the hell up, you know, I'm the
he
star.
he loves ragging on himself and like doing, when he ever does a character as himself, he plays it up like that.
Yeah, that's what I like. Yeah, exactly.
And
So
like he always rags on like the nerd culture, and he makes fun of nerds all the time. But I think he's like almost the one host that he's like sort of like a one of us type thing. He's definitely was a nerd and he likes comic books and stuff, and I'm sure
right,
he likes his time at Comic Con.
yeah, so that was fun.
Yeah, he's done a lot of other like crossover stuff like that. He's gotten into shows and stuff. There was one
Cool.
I liked. He actually interviewed Archer. Do you like Archer on FX?
I haven't seen but like maybe 10 minutes of one episode, so I can't make a comment about it.
Okay, well, I'll put that on your FX back log of shows because it's really funny. And he actually to interview Archer, he actually got animated, and the Archer show did a whole animated clip of him
That's
interviewing
crazy.
Archer while they were being like chased in a car chase, and it was hilarious.
Wow,
Yeah, he does a lot of cool stuff like that.
that's cool.
All right, yeah, and we had a great time at Comic Con, and there was so much to do this year. We definitely missed out on some stuff. There was like a Pokemon Pikachu, Detective Pikachu thing we missed, which I didn't even know where that was actually. And then just some other stuff. But it was crowded. There was long lines, and That's kind of how Comic Con goes. But
Mhm.
before that, I actually saw Far From Home. Tony was kind enough to take me, and listening back to what I predicted, pretty much came true.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I,
it was right on the money where Mysterio was the bad guy after all. I just love that whole reveal, and the bar scene was probably like my favorite scene in the whole movie.
I,
And of course, the mid credit scene was fantastic.
yeah. So the reveal was one of my favorite scenes, but probably the coolest scene was when Peter's trying for me was when Peter was going after Mysterio, I guess in the building, in the parking lot or whatever, and then Mysterio used like his powers to kind of like make everything black, and it was just like
Yeah, I'm
it was
surprised they actually went for that because that's like classic Mysterio, and like
that is
I
totally
didn't know they could
classic.
pull it off.
Yeah, because you see it in the cartoons and you see it in the comic books, and then you kind of think like, man, this would be badass to see live action. But how do you accomplish something like that? They did it. It was so cool. They did it perfectly. I think they really captured the spirit of who Mysterio is, and gosh, it was just he's so charismatic and he's such a con man. He's just I think
Fantastic. Jake Gyllenhaal killed it.
yes, absolutely. And I would so we've had this discussion. I don't know if it's leaping forward ahead of the conversation, but I think you said something to the effect of, "Gosh, I wish he could stick around," and I agree
Yeah.
with you.
So
And
a
I'm sure.
spoiler alert. I wish he could stick around.
Well, I mean, we already said that he's a criminal, evil guy, so spoiler alert, it's already been
So
done.
I Tony had an interesting theory, sort of an update or theories that we had, or the theories that I had um, after viewing it now. And Tony had an interesting theory, and it's not just his; it's out there in the internet verse where Mysterio is maybe still around somehow, and yeah, somehow he's still around, and he might show up again.
Right. And I guess let's see, because the way that this could backfire would be Peter asked the glasses. I forgot what the name of the glasses was, but Tony Stark's
Edith,
glasses.
yes.
Yeah, he's like, "Yo, is there any more illusions?" And they're like, "All illusions are over." Okay, so he didn't say like, "Is this dude dead?" He just said, like, "Is there any more illusions?" Which I mean, Mysterio could just be like acting, right? He closes his eyes. He
Yeah,
can
he
tell you
can just
how.
be normal acting now. He didn't
Yeah, no,
check for vital signs or anything.
exactly. So he could have just like Peter could have swinged off, and then like Mysterio could have like walked away and just I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying like
Limped away or something. What was the killing blow? Oh, he got shot, right, by the own drones?
yeah, but I mean, so what? Like
Yeah, people survive shots, and it wasn't like to the head or anything, so I don't know.
right. So who knows? I'm just saying that like the way in which he would come back, I think would not be as a villain unto himself. I don't think they would do Far From Home Part 2, for example. I think they would save him up, for example, like as part of a Sinister Six
Yes.
storyline.
Oh my god, yes. We talked about that theory or trilogy of the next Spider-Man trilogy, and
Right.
that sounds like
Because
right on the money.
right, because a high level, I mean, it's just a rumor, so we don't know. But apparently, some folks are saying that Spider-Man is supposed to be a 9-part movie series.
Oh yeah, he's I forgot the details of his contract are out there on the internet, and yeah, he's signed on for quite a bit, quite a chunk of film, just like how Robert Downey Jr. was for Iron Man.
Right. So, I mean, it's totally conceivable that the plan is to grow with Tom, which I think makes perfect sense. And I guess the way that it would be broken up would be something to the effect of you do the first three as part of the high school Spider-Man, you do the next three as part of the college days, and then you do the last three as sort of like
So
the adult.
let's the adult Peter Parker. So let's call it now. Where do you see Mysterio returning? Is it when Peter's just in college, or is it after that?
Yeah, so I don't want to. I want to do like my own version of things because I don't want the internet to spoil my imagination. Because the way they're portraying it would be the last of the high school series, which is the next movie. Sinister Six. I don't think it's too early for that, in my opinion. Just because, although we have some of the key players introduced already, I feel
Yeah,
like it's just a bit too much for especially such a big, um, well-known enemy group of Spider-Man to kind of still beat them in the first 3 years of being Spider-Man, or however long it's been, maybe 4 years. Still too early, in my opinion.
I agree. I love that you're. That should be the quote of the show. Let's not let the internet ruin our imagination.
Right. So
So
I
to add on to that, I would say, what if because Spider-Verse, that was kind of more or less a coming together of villains and mixing up sort of the storylines from the comic books and the movie. What if instead of like Kingpin or doing his thing, what if it's all the villains getting together to cause this multiverse situation to happen?
That sounds great. So I think that would fit best in part one of the last trilogy. I think is where it would
Yeah, and
probably
then
fit best.
boom, all of a sudden Mysterio's back.
Right, and then you would just do like a let's see. So you do the introduction of the Sinister Six. They blow shit up in the first part of adult grown up Spider-Man, experienced Spider-Man, and then the part two would be like I don't know, something hangs in the balance where he's able almost to defeat them, but something happens, and then maybe that's where Gwen or like somebody else from the other
Oh,
Spider Verse
oh
comes
my
in,
god, that
and
is
then
fantastic.
the last one is Tobey Maguire comes out, Andrew Garfield comes
Oh
out,
my
and
god.
just they just kick ass and involve the Sinister Six. That would be my dream movie right
So,
there.
so just to add on to that, a small detail, I think it would work where you're introducing sort of the new villains with each movie, like they have been with like Mysterio, and then they do someone else next, and then they do that mashup movie. So it's almost like it's Spider-Man's own sort of Infinity War.
Oh shit, brilliant idea! And oh wow, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, what if? And then what if one of the key factors is they said they would. There's something about the legality of the Venom stuff where Venom can't cross over to the MCU, but Tom Holland's Peter Parker and Spider-Man could cross up into the Venom. So what that means is he could somehow be multiversed into the Venomverse. If Venom instead, what if they just are fine with that, whatever they have to do legally? And what if Venom is one of the key members in the
Sinister.
Sinister Six, and then he plays a key role of like changing the tide at the end. Maybe like switches and becomes good all of a sudden.
That'd be so cool. You know, I like that idea, but it's just I'm disappointed by the legality if that's a true statement from the internet.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, it's out
you
there.
just that's like I can't have a comparable analogy. It would be almost like saying you can have your peanut butter and jelly, you just can't have jelly.
It's
Yeah.
it's almost like it's almost like the DCEU is. It's too fragmented and like, oh, we can do this and that, and we can show spoilers for Shazam if you haven't seen it. There's a little end credit scene where they show a Superman, but they only show him from the neck down.
Right, right. Yeah, I saw that. That was funny. It was funny, but it was also like kind of like really, like
I would, yeah, yeah, totally. I was actually not expecting much from Shazam, but that was actually all right.
yeah. I actually really like that movie. So, um, I want to show you something since we're on this topic. Okay.
All right, all
So,
right.
this could be something that could be posted on our Twitter or our social media stuff.
Sounds good.
So, somebody on Reddit pointed out that in Endgame, there's a scene at the end where Peter meets up with his guy in the chair again, right? So he's hugging him because he's came back to life apparently. So I don't know if
Yes,
you've seen this clip, this image, but somebody
I've
pointed out,
I've heard of this. Yeah, I think I've seen it. Yeah,
and
no.
they paused on this picture, which I'm about to share with you. I just gotta read to something that I can actually find, and there it is, upload.
So
Check that out.
even before seeing it, oh yeah, there it goes. So it's a lady with
Describe what you're seeing.
a pink backpack, blonde hair, and a very interesting type of skirt that looks like a web. Now, you can have a background character and have any other clothing that you could imagine on a character
Exact.
rather than a web freaking skirt. So getting to the point in movies, especially these Marvel flicks, where
They're intentionally.
everything is done with a purpose and a reason. And I think this is more than an Easter egg. That I think everyone that's a pretty good theory. And of course, it looks like Gwen, Spider Gwen.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I think that's gonna be Spider Gwen, whether we see her 5 movies down the road, next movie, who knows? I mean, here's something that gives me hope. Not to go off on a tangent, but things have been accelerating in the MCU world simply because Infinity War is that phase is done, and so all the classic big superhero storylines we've heard of are done and done well, by the way. And so now we're moving to this more experimental, as I like to call it, phase where we're having fun, man. We're just going to balls
Yeah,
to the wall. Example, female Thor, which I know I shouldn't be saying it. She's actually just Thor, but because we're getting that so quickly, in my opinion, makes me think, okay, the world is our oyster. We can just do anything we want. Who's to say we can't have Gwen Stacy as Spider Gwen in
my God.
very next movie?
Well,
Just things
what
are going so quickly.
of course, and what gave us this initial hope was already back in Homecoming because Miles Morales is not. Well, he is mentioned. He's mentioned by his uncle Aaron Davis, who's played by Danny Glover. He says he has a nephew, so that was our first and that was a big thing. Like Aaron Davis didn't even have to be a character in Homecoming. That could have been any other sort of thug.
Right, right, exactly. So they know exactly what they're doing. They're slowly laying the groundwork. Now, how quickly that's going to come to fruition, question, but we're going to get there. I firmly
So
believe we will.
what is out there, I hear, is Kevin Feige and the lead lady at Sony sat down and broke bread way in the planning of Homecoming. And I'm sure Kevin Feige had some sort of overarching sort of trajectory for Spider-Man and the things of using like Aaron Davis and maybe this little Easter egg here. I think that maybe all there.
Yep, I 100% agree. And so, as one final, let's see, one final addition to this conversation, I'm going to share another picture, and I'm sure you've seen this one as well, to just kind of close the loop. Check this out. This is at the end credits of Far From Home.
Ah ha ha! That's a small little flash, and yeah, okay. So
Very
yeah,
small,
in
but
the
that's.
in
Go
the
ahead.
style of the end credits, especially from Homecoming, it does that sort of little animated sort of graffiti art thing for
Right.
Far From Home as well. And this image is Flash, where it looks like it's Spider-Man on top of Miles Morales' Spider-Man.
Yep. So I mean, again, I don't think it's if. I think it's when we're gonna see these characters, which
Oh
is so
yeah,
exciting.
oh yeah, definitely. They're really doing good work. Just another thing to add on to the Gwen Stacy theory is what causes the multiverse, and I'm sure this is going to be explained in Doctor Strange, is all these snaps, is all these uses of the Infinity Stones, because you got the snap and the blip, and that's what have caused the freaking the multiverse, and I'm sure we'll get that
Right. Like
confirmed in
what?
Doctor Strange.
That's a good point. Like you're right. There's got to be a rhyme and a reason to this. And shit, there's hell of like things going on in the world. I mean, the universe where snaps are bringing people back to life, unsnaps are killing, or whatever you the description is. But yes, there's some weird stuff going on in the world, and wouldn't it be very strange to think that there's consequences to these things other than coming back to life.
Yeah, so in Endgame, Rocket says they've never seen like a power like that, and when he Thanos snapped, and that's how they track him too, because he does a snap again to destroy the stones. So all those seem to have sort of ramifications. Well, definitely we've seen because with the whole timeline of Endgame, but also ramifications in the universe and the multiverse as well.
Well, I guess that's actually you hit it on the nail at the last sentence you said. So, do you think that the snaps are causing ramifications outside of the singular universe that we know in the MCU? Like, it's actually impacting other universes, which would be crazy.
Yeah, I think so. So the hint we get at, well, first Captain Marvel says, but what happened in Earth during the snap was happening everywhere, so we know it's happening in the universe. But just because of those power signatures, I feel like, yeah, it's definitely happening in the multiverse as well. If not like to the scale that it happened in the MCU, to the scale of just like opening holes and maybe causing a little bit of ruckus.
Dang, that's
And
crazy.
maybe that's how Gwen's there. Maybe she got there from being blipped, and she's like, "What the hell am I doing here?"
Dude, that's sick. Okay, then, and obviously, I think the $1 million question that everybody must be talking about somewhere on the internet is, so if you can have different multiverses, and that doesn't mean that Robert Downey Jr. is out of the
Oh
Marvel
no,
game.
of course not.
I mean,
His contract is over, and then they're just gonna be paying him per scene and movie now. He's definitely coming back. If not as sometimes there's a holographic projection of Tony Stark, and sometimes he even habits an Iron Man armor. If not that, then maybe different versions of him.
that'd be sick to see like a different version of like Robert Downey Jr. I don't know how they would do it, but it would be cool to kind of have like a little difference. You know, maybe he has like
They
blonde
can do
hair.
a even older one who like survived the Thanos thing. So
Whoa,
even
that's a good
older,
idea.
and you don't have to do any makeup.
Right, right. That's true. Damn, good stuff.
Yeah. And I had another theory from Far From Home just to tie it all together. Maybe the reason why. Spoiler alert. Nick and with the other lady. Man, I forget her name. Is it Miranda? Or I
Who?
forget what her name. Nick Fury and the other agent lady whose name escapes me. They turn out to be Skrulls, and maybe
Oh
why
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mysterio is so convincing. Maybe Nick Fury, the real Nick Fury, and the Skrulls are already aware of there being a multiverse.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're doing up in that big ass ship. Who knows? That's a good question. Maybe they're keeping an eye on like, whoa, all these different things are popping up into our world. Are they friendly? Are they enemies? It's a good
Yeah, and the
question.
only question I had was like, how would Mysterio know about that? And that was something me and Tony were discussing after we watched it. And I don't know, that's a hard one to think of, but maybe like Mysterio's writer person or whatever, maybe like infiltrated some sort of vendor compound, or like what became like a little agent of Shield or something, and got that information.
Maybe, or maybe he's just making shit up and he just happened to get it right.
That's a good coincidence.
It's not as fun, but
So the list is out there from Comic Con of the next phase, and I think the next thing we are getting is, if not one of the shows from Disney Plus, I think the next thing we're getting is either Black Widow standalone, or the Eternals.
oh yeah, I think. Is it that Eternal? Let's see. Yeah, so the next one, you're right. You're correcto mundo. The next movie is going really that far away.
Yeah,
Huh.
we got a chunk to wait. That's why I think maybe the Disney Plus things are gonna happen in that downtime, so that we have something. But maybe not. Maybe they're saving everything because they did a job, so they can take a break now.
Yeah, right, right. You're right. We can't be that greedy. So looks like the next, very next thing, both in the TV shows versus movies, is gonna be May 1st, Black Widow, 2020,
Yeah, there you go.
and then looks like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I'm very excited to see,
Oh,
is
that's great.
fall of 2020. Um,
Fantastic.
yeah.
What's great is the stuff coming up. Well, Falcon and Winter Soldier is definitely going to deal with the future, but Black Widow is a prequel, and I'm going to go ahead and bet that the Eternals is going to be a prequel of sort of the way Captain Marvel was sort of a prequel, because with the Eternals, they're sort of the sort of going with the origins of the stone. Just like each member of the Eternals at one point had an Infinity Stone. So I don't know if they're dealing with the stone. They'd have to be dealing with the stones before, because
I thought it was a time travel thing.
or
That's what I heard.
maybe
Like where
it's
they
there's some
protect the
time travel.
future.
Maybe something like that. Because I don't know if the stones broke after Tony used them the last time.
Oh, that's a what the hell? How did I miss that? That's a great question. What what did happen to the
Yeah,
stones?
I just thought of that. I
Wait a
don't think it's
minute, you
really
just
expressed
that's
in
a
the.
really good point. Shit.
I know it definitely took a lot out of him, but so maybe the stones are still kicking around somewhere.
Which would mean you need somebody to defend them.
And yeah, and I think that would be a good segue into the Eternals, and they're only the baddest people who can hold on to them.
So one thing I just noticed in looking at the schedule for Phase 4 is, maybe not disappointed. I was so overwhelmed when I saw this because there was so much good stuff, which I'm so
Yeah,
excited for.
yeah.
But now that I've kind of,
But if you look at the
sobered
dates,
up,
there's big gaps in between.
right? But now that I'm like a little more sobered up in terms of like the excitement's wearing down, where the hell is Spider-Man? Like this is kind
Yeah,
of
he's not.
upsetting.
He's not there. He's gonna be near the end. Yeah, he's gonna get his day near the end.
I almost. I mean, okay, so the last thing they project here on the timeline is November 5th, 2021, and that's Thor: Love and Thunder. So that's damn nearly 4 years where we don't see a Spider-Man movie.
Uh, maybe he'll have a cameo in something. I think maybe
Yeah,
you can.
maybe,
Maybe he'll have a end credit cameo in the Doctor Strange multiverse.
maybe. Yeah.
That would be the only movie I can fit him in. Maybe even Thor, but that's a stretch.
Yeah. Does that mean that is this the entirety of Phase 4? Therefore, Phase 5 would have to be
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Maybe Phase 5 they start off with a Spider-Man movie, which would be fantastic. Also, I was
Oh,
thinking, wouldn't it be
go ahead.
cool if in Black Panther 2 one of the main baddies was Craven the Hunter, and then maybe you can add in Spidey in that.
That's a good idea. Wow. Well done. So I'm looking at somebody's fan-made MCU Phase 5 movie slate. It's all, just bananas according to this guy. But I like the way he does it, breaks it down. So in this guy, he does Wolverine, Weapon X. He does Spider-Man, the Goblin. He does Black
Oh,
Panther, Storm.
yeah.
X.
But
And
so that's one.
then
X.
nothing.
there's one thing that is just called a mutant movie, and that's probably going to be the beginning of the sort of X-Men side.
Wow, that would be sick.
And what's interesting is it's just called mutant for now. It's just like the placeholder.
Singular.
All of them, just like how The Last Jedi didn't refer just to Luke, it maybe referred to.
Okay, that's fair. Fair enough. I was just thinking it would be cool like if they just did it like on Wolverine. I mean, I know you're over it, but it would be cool to see.
Well, that the Weapon X ones. What it could be, it would just have to be the emergence of all the mutants, and that would be an interesting story. I don't think that story's ever really been told, because even in the old with the first team, it's just there's mutants in this world, and that's how it's been, and it came on in this century. There's never been like here's them slowly appearing. There's never been a movie about that, or maybe not even a comic book. I'll have to do some research.
Interesting.
To it, how you explain it.
Right. How do you, yeah, I don't know. They're gonna have to do some mental gym.
Yeah, a lot of people had theories to ends before this whole multiverse stuff, which may be more on the money of where they're going to go to introduce them. They were talking about how in the quantum realm things work sort of differently, and you sort of mutate and adapt there. That's like a line that was said in Ant-Man and the Wasp. So maybe that's where that theory came from. Maybe mutants would come from the quantum realm.
But that would mean that you have to enter it first and
or
then come
like
out?
maybe like the spark of mutants or something. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. That's cool,
So
man.
basically, what's going down in my mind is all these things are open. So firstly, from the whole sort of multiverse, sort of portals are open from the snap and the blip, and of course the quantum realm's been opening up just because freaking Ant-Man's been going in and out of it willy nilly. There's got to be some ramifications to something, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of possible origin stories from the movies that we've already seen that they haven't developed. And one thing that I really liked, by the way, about Far From Home was, and you went back to verify this, so thank you for doing the homework, which was the dude in the
Yes, the
always
scientist.
there in the previous movies.
That was played by the actor who I forget his name, but he plays Ralphie in the Christmas Story.
That is outstanding by itself, by the way, unto itself. But I guess what I'm saying is, who knows how much stuff we're being exposed to? Like, there's like a second of a meaningless character being used as a throwaway, who may come back in the future as somebody really important.
That is a great point. Who knows how many seeds Marvel is planting in our minds?
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Good point. Okay, so now I gotta take a break from all this Marvel thinking. So let's take a break by talking about Toy Story 4, which we haven't really had a chance to.
All right.
So, let's go with if our expectations were met. Yeah, I'll ask that question to you, and then I'll answer myself after you answer. Or your expectations for Toy Story 4 met, and why not?
Well, let's break that down a little bit. My expectations in terms of the quality of the movie, for sure, were met. I actually went and saw it a second time just because I really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, nice.
In terms of, so that's just speaking strictly to the quality and the entertainment value of the movie. In terms of like my expectations of the story, I didn't really know where the story was going to go, to be quite honest. When the movie first started, I kind of had a rough idea of like, okay, so what's going to happen is the little girl is going to grow up herself, commanding number 2, and then head off Woody to some other third owner, and the story's gonna be about that. That's where I thought they were gonna be going, but not at all. And so I think because I was kind of the story was enjoyable,
That's good.
because it wasn't very formulaic, in my opinion. Like it wasn't like, oh, I know he's gonna, spoiler alert, leave the group and then we're done. Um, so that was, I guess that's all I can really say. Is a great surprising. It was pretty emotional and it was crazy. And you know what? It 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 had to happen. I think. How
Yeah.
long how
No,
long can a
yeah, it
group
definitely
stay
had to happen.
together? You know?
Yeah, it had to happen. I agree. And I would definitely agree that I also didn't know where I was going. Let me ask you this: did it fall flat in any aspect of anything, any story or anything else that anything fell flat
Um.
or missed the mark?
Well, I'm not so sure if falling flat would be the term that I would use, but if I had to criticize and thinking about it a little bit more, um, well, there's a lot of questions I had, but I mean, it's a fiction, so I'm not gonna even spend a lot of time debating why the hell certain toys are alive and others are not. But
That's
that
interesting.
was just like the meta, like physics of it was weird. But I guess Buzz, Buzz is a character. I love him.
Yeah.
He's great. He's been great. But it almost felt like he was used more as a, let's see, comic relief, rather than like, because in the other movies he's like a leader. He's very confident. He knows he literally has a mission in almost every film, and he wants to accomplish that mission. This one it was like wish washy. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna rely on my quote unquote boys to kind of guide me. And he seemed like that was the only area where I would criticize. I still loved him. I still thought it was great, but it just felt like his character wasn't portrayed like the Buzz we know and have come to
That's
love.
true.
Like he was
I
kind of like,
agree with that.
what about
He
you?
didn't seem more yeah, he did seem less confident, and yeah, that was kind of weird for his character, but it was definitely funny. um, so yeah, I've been thinking about it, and I think it does a lot of things right, and I definitely did not know where it was going. Um, which was refreshing because it was just almost like Toy Story 3. I didn't really know where that was going. That was really that was probably my favorite Toy Story movie. Was Toy Story 3, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
this one, where I think it met some of my expectations, but I did have little troubles with the story. One of my main things was I wasn't sure what Woody really wanted, and maybe he wasn't sure what he really wanted himself. Because, say, for instance, it seemed like in the beginning he just wanted to be played with or maybe be of use. That's why he was protecting Faki the whole time. But if you want to be like kids, like top toy, why wouldn't he have stayed with the girl that found him in the antique shop and just stayed and played with the park and been that kid's toy?
Wait, say that again. The girl. Well, she was a jerk, right? That girl from the antique shop, the one who
No,
didn't
that
take.
yeah, she didn't. I guess that's true. She was kind of a jerk. I didn't take Gabby. But also, one of the main things in the beginning was all of a sudden, another thing that kind of bothered me was in Toy Story 3, Bonnie was all about Woody, and
Right,
that was like her favorite toy, and like she wouldn't let Andy leave without her having Woody. And
right.
that was like a main thing in 3. And then fourth one, she just kind of completely forgets about Woody. That's
Yeah.
really weird.
So let me expand on that. I agree 100% because I thought it was bullshit just saying that like Andy gave away his favorite toy which he did not want to part with. That thing could have been, and it was, if you read from previous movies, the mom of Andy in one of the movies says like, oh, like the way we've got him is he's been passed down through our generation, something to that effect.
Yeah.
Like his Andy's dad owned him at one point, gave it to Andy. And so I thought it would have been awesome if like and he kept it, and then he gave it to his own kids in the future. That would be so cool. That'd be the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So for and so then like I'm thinking, well, I mean, if this girl's begging for the toy, then okay, you're not gonna be mean and say no, you can't have it. Okay, fine, I'll work with you on that. But you're totally right. To just change her passion for Woody, like without really explaining why, was kind of what the critics are gonna say. They're gonna be like, well, dude, of course she's gonna like not like a toy
Yeah,
forever.
no, yeah, wishy
That's
washy
that's
sometimes.
how kids
Kids are.
are. But I mean, that's the point of making a movie, making things make sense. You could still have that. Well, she's wishy washy, but why? you know. So I don't know. I guess what I'm saying
It kind of
is
totally negates the third movie.
right. It's exactly what you're saying. And also I don't know how I feel about this like Lotso, who is just
Yeah,
a bad dude, and there's a reason why he's a bad dude. There wasn't that, so it almost kind of negated the entire. I mean, those, for example, those dummies, were they bad or were they not bad? That didn't make sense. Like
there was a rumor circling around before it came out that Bo Peep was going to be the bad guy.
the bad guy.
Yeah, that I would like to have seen that instead, where maybe they would get at it a little bit more than a little more argumentative than they did. And
Right.
I think that would have been interesting.
No, I personally agree. Um. So yeah. Overall, I think it definitely deserves its 97% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a great movie overall, but let's see. Is this a true statement? I don't know. I'm just gonna say it. It may seem that Toy Story, the franchise, is maybe starting to show not its age, but it's okay, we've kind of done everything we
Yeah,
can.
I going down, and I think that is I don't know if they're gonna do another movie, but maybe what would be better is a Disney Plus show just about Buzz and the gang.
That would be sick if they actually retained the original voice actors. That'd be so
Yeah,
cool.
I mean it's Disney and they probably can. And I know Tim Allen was aboard, and when hints of the ending were spread before it came out because Tim Allen said he was shook during his last recording session, and because of the fact that was probably the last session he would have with Tom Hanks.
Like,
So Tim Allen's still on board, and everyone else. What's sad is when I was looking back at the movie and thinking, I was like, oh, there's not that many scenes, cast like or anybody else. We didn't get to spend more time in the RV. We spent more time with Woody than we did with the gang at the RV. I was like, oh, I wonder why. And it came to me like a lot of those actors have sadly passed away.
yep.
They can't. Yeah, they can't be. They replaced the voice of Slinky Dog in 3. They got like a actor who was the friend of the original Slinky Dog voice, who was of course Ernie from all those Ernie Goes to whatever movies. That actor, and then they got one of his friends to replace him just to. And Slinky didn't have that many lines in 3, but even now, more of those toys were silent. It's just really sad, and that's kind of more the reason why I think things are slowing down for them.
Yeah, that's a good observation. I did hear about Mr. Potato Head, the actor, um, Don. I don't
Don
remember.
Rickles.
Yeah. So, but the great thing about it is, well, not great, but the moving thing about it is I think they try to use no they did use basically all the lines that were not used in the previous movies, and so they were able to basically like all his lines were actually his, even though he's not with us
Yeah,
anymore. So that was
yeah,
kind of cool. Some
yeah,
movie magic there.
yeah. That's what they've been doing, and that's what we'll see from Carrie Fisher and the Rise of Skywalker.
Right. That one's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to do. So, what I was thinking again with the theory of a Disney Plus show continuing the story, that would still be a little difficult. What they should have done was maybe Buzz should have gone off and done something else and left, and then they can continue Buzz's story doing like the Lost Toys thing instead of Woody.
Instead of Woody going around and doing adventures.
Yeah, because that would be a good place to pick off on, and maybe something a show could explore that we haven't seen. But then if Tom Hanks is out, I'm sure he's not going to want to do a show, so they should have switched those up maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think there's ways forward with the franchise if they want to keep it going. Um, if they did want to do another big blockbuster, then they would certainly have to blow it out of the park. I don't know how they would do that, but they would have to, I think, bring the all of the cast together again somehow.
I would say this. I think I'd be fine if they didn't. I think that's fine with Toy Story 4 being ending. I think the true ending really is Toy Story 3. But if they end with 4, I think that's all right.
Right. Oh yeah, I think I'd buy that.
Good. Yeah, so that was cool. We got more stuff to look forward to. There's a lot of Disney movies coming out. We might actually, I don't know. I think Lion King might have came out. We'll try to go see that maybe. Any movies coming
Yeah.
out that you're looking forward to?
Well, I did get a chance to see The Lion King.
You did?
Yeah, that one
How was
was.
that? Expectations met? Not. Did it hit a bar? Did it go over it? Did it go
It
really
was
low?
exactly. No. It was a great movie. It was basically exactly what you expect, right? And so I initially thought when they were doing this, um,
Live action stuff.
yeah, I thought the plan was to not expand, but kind of like take.
Reinterpret.
There you go. That's the word I was looking for. Reinterpret. But nope, they're just doing
Oh,
a
really?
scene,
Bare bones,
scene
straight.
exactly the same. Literally, almost every scene, in my opinion, was
Oh my gosh.
like verbatim from the cartoon version, which is not a bad thing because I love the cartoon version, right? But so maybe that's why for me it was like it's a great movie. I like it, but it absolutely did not contribute anything new at all.
That's
It's
interesting.
this. So it's. I mean, I think let's see, Rotten Tomatoes I think put it best. And I agree with it. It says while it can take pride in its visual achievements, The Lion King is a by the numbers retelling that lacks the
Oh
energy and
wow.
heart that made the original so beloved.
Oh wow.
Though for some fans, they may just think I'm one of those fans. It needed to do. Nothing new, nothing fancy. It's if you've seen The Lion King, you're literally gonna see the same thing,
Huh, interesting.
and it's cool. I
That's
will
probably worth
say,
a watch then.
it's if it is worth watching in movie theaters. I would definitely do it. Just for the sake of seeing Seth Rogen play Pumbaa. That was hilarious.
Really? That's great.
That was
Yeah, I think him and Billy, I forget what his last name, but the actor who plays Timon, I thought they were a great casting. Great casting in this whole movie, actually.
yeah, no, absolutely great casting overall. Um, Pumbaa's definitely the best part of it
That's
because he's
sick.
so.
Did you ever see the live action Aladdin?
I did. I saw that one too.
I think the fear is why they don't want to try anything new. I think they did try a lot of things new in Aladdin, and for me, that movie definitely kind of missed the mark.
Yeah, but let's see. So, okay, let's compare notes a little bit. So I've seen The Lion King, I've seen the Aladdin, and I've also seen The Beauty and the Beast. Am I
The
missing one? Is there another
Jungle
one?
Book, the Jungle
I
Book
saw the
was
Jungle
a
Book.
little bit different too.
Jungle, right? I like the Jungle Book
I thought
actually.
that was all right, and
I
Beauty
thought that was.
seemed more like how what you're saying. The Lion King is Beauty and Beast seemed almost like shot for shot the same movie.
I did not care for Beauty and the Beast live action.
Yeah,
I did not at all. At all. It's actually
I don't
kind of a
know.
headache.
I don't know what was missing from it because it seemed like it was the same movie as the
It's
cartoon, but
just
I don't know.
maybe Soul, like
Yeah, that's kind of what that criticism said for Lion King too. But it seems Lion King has a little bit more going for it.
yeah. Um, so maybe you're completely correct, and maybe they saw the writing on the wall, and they're, well, when you spend too much, it turns off audiences. But then, to get it right, Disney, you can't just do something. If you're gonna do something completely different, then do it. Just
And
go all the
then
way. If
to
you're gonna
add
stick to
on,
the, go on.
yeah, if you're gonna stick to the source, just do that. But to add on that, they are doing something completely different with Mulan. Have you heard of what they're doing with Mulan?
I have not, but based on the trailer, I can already see that what they want to do is completely override the fact that she was a dude and now she's like hiding as a dude in the army to join the army. Um, which I thought was a big part of the first
Well, I
animated
think
version.
if anything, I think it starts out maybe like that, but I think for most juncture you might just be honing up to the woman side of things. What's interesting is apparently there was an outcry back when the cartoon came out that that cartoon wasn't true to the story and the legend, where this one they're trying to be more truthful to the original source of
Oh,
Mulan.
is that right?
Yeah, so that's why you're not going to see a Mushu. You're not going to see her love interest because she don't need no love
There.
interest.
Yeah. Wait, really? So that's why you don't see movies? That's dumb. I'm sorry. I'm gonna flat out say that's dumb.
It's not. It's not. Yeah, it's not the same.
Ah,
At least it's different. We'll see.
I guess. So let's see. Since we're on this subject, let's quickly go through. I just pulled the list of the live action movies coming out. So there's a shit ton. So there's of course Maleficent, which what the hell is that a live action of?
Maleficent 2.
Oh,
That's the live action of Sleeping Beauty, and it just kind of retells it from her point of view.
okay. Mulan, we went through that. I guess Cruella, they're doing one
Oh yeah, I
Dalmatians.
heard that. That's gonna be from her point of view.
This one is could be interesting. They're gonna try and do Peter Pan, which is TBD. The release date is TBD. Oh,
And
that's
they've
dumb.
there's
They're
been several, and maybe not Disney, but there's been several live action Peter Pans, so it's
yeah,
doable. It's
but
kind
a
of
Disney
played
one
out
would
at
be
this
cool.
point.
Yeah, and to add to that comment, played out. I do a teen movie, which is
Oh,
Reese Witherspoon is reportedly set to play Tinkerbell, which
maybe that'd be.
that's
I don't know.
I wouldn't do it. I think that's dumb. I'm just gonna say, ooh, Sword in the Stone. That'll
I
be
think
interesting.
that's very smart. That's a very smart idea.
I agree. That's really smart. Pinocchio, that could work.
Also, could work. I feel like
Could
that
work.
one might be a little true to the cartoon. I feel like the
Right.
Stone one might be. They might go into the legends and might try to be a little more accurate.
Right. Yeah, I think the more like they okay, let's put it this way, the more source material they have to build off of without